Smash Writing. I am half your host, Justin. The other host was not here, but we got substitute Paulie. Paulie, say hello to the people.
I am
That's quite enough of that.
Okay. As you can see, today...
We're back.
We are back. First off, February was a tough month with a lot of things that were going on, so you didn't really see as many vlogs or videos or podcasts, but we are back and we are...
If you can remember, the last time we did the first Conjuring movie, I said, if you really like this movie, I'm happy for you. You should like what you like because that's what's important. I want you to remember that as I once again give my opinion on The Conjuring 2.
And that's what we're talking about today. We are reviewing The Conjuring 2. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, quick, should we run through the story real quick of what The Conjuring 2 is all about?
Go ahead.
It's about Ed and Lorraine returning. And at the beginning they're in Amityville and she gets a little premonition about Valak and her husband dying, and she wants to kind of quit doing these, especially after his dream and another premonition down the line. And meanwhile, over in England, his family is being tormented by a ghost, another ghost.
Valkyrie was the
Well, Valak was, but she was using these ghosts as different. She was kind of trapping these ghosts here to disguise herself, I think that was what they were going for.
Okay.
And she was hiding anything going from Lorraine's visions and everything to make the family seem like they were lying, because that was a big running theme: is this family lying, or are they telling the truth? And at the end it was, of course, they were telling the truth, and they rushed back in the nick of time to save the day. Dun, dun, dun.
Until next week, no. Yeah, so I mean that was basically the story to it, and so we have obviously, I think a lot of the behind the scenes people were returning.
Well, yeah, everyone came back. James Wan was directing. You had Vera Farmiga,
yeah,
and Patrick Wilson returning as the Lorraines.
Now, you guys don't see our production board and our cue card board, whatever you want to call it. But Justin, what do you have next for the Ed and Lorraine characters when we were describing them?
Do you mean the con artists?
There you go. Thank you. Now, explain your point on calling them just that, because, I mean,
I think we're reviewing the movie and not the actual events surrounding the movie. Because if we really pick that apart, I could be here for the next day. So let's stick to the movie here. Be professional.
Be professional, because that's what we are.
Yeah, I'm sure no one believes that at this point. So you really like this movie in this series, so walk me through why you are wrong.
I'm actually on the other side of the spectrum. I do think it was a okay follow-up.
Wait, am I actually going to be the one defending this? Because I think this is a better one than the first one, but...
You might be then, because I think this is actually weaker than the first film.
Why am I the one having to defend this movie?
Because
I don't want to be that person.
That's because that's how I now that the Conjuring series has blown up to what it is, and Part 3 is coming out this summer.
The devil made me do it?
Yeah. Which they say it's going to take a completely different direction. But in this film...
I hope so.
Yeah, you don't want to do 3 films with the same damn story. I didn't really have... in the first film, I thought the story was good, and the jump scares added to the story. In this one, I thought they relied too much on the jump scares, and I actually think of all, if you count the Annabelles...
I haven't seen any of them, so I can't.
Well, guess what's coming up next time we record? No.
Is it Annabelle or The Nun? Because I think I'd much rather watch The Nun.
We'll get to that too. You gotta watch, that's all part of the series.
Yeah, I'm aware. None of them are on HBO Max.
Try Netflix.
Already did.
Conjuring 2 was just on Netflix.
Even Conjuring 2. I turned it on Conjuring 2 on this morning to give it another watch just to refresh my brain a little bit. That wasn't even on HBO Max anymore. I had to go to Netflix.
That's a bit shocking.
I'm guessing it's a licensing thing, but though, like, this was better. The atmosphere and the tension were all ramped up. It had one of the best scenes in horror movies, in my opinion, whenever you had the shadow of Valak crossing the wall and lining up with her portrait and charging. That was great. I mean, I've seen it, so it was kind of ruined for me before watching this movie.
Trailers.
But, was that in the trailer?
No, they actually kept that out. That was back when trailers didn't need to give the whole movie away.
Well, no, they've always done that. We can talk about the Terminator one day.
God.
But I think that even the family aspect was better, because in the first movie, I didn't even realize they had 5 kids until about halfway through when Lorraine showed up and they're all waiting in the living room. I'm like, holy crap! Where did they come through? Well, no, they all looked the same. They were spread out to where I'm like, oh, there's another kid. There's whatever. I thought there were only 3 until halfway.
Well, in theory, doesn't it make you feel good? Like,
but like,
if we were still truck drivers, we could have all that money in houses.
But the kids were much better and more handled in part 2. And I think the nun, the Valak, was great. Like, I thought she was menacing. She brought that aura with her. That demon thing we saw at the end, that was bad. But the nun was really good.
I just honestly felt like that. I'm not.
Oh, James Wan is just amazing with the camera angles.
Yeah,
it gives you a rewatchability, because there's like when I rewatched it this morning, I didn't notice when Billy was walking through the hall that the old man was sitting in his chair.
Right.
There's always something happening around the characters, and I like that. I think that might be the end of my prose. So.
Can't wait to hear the cons. I don't know. I thought the story was slightly thinner. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a bad movie. I'm not saying this is the worst horror sequel there ever was. I'm not putting it on any of that spectrum. If you're going to look at the first 2 Conjuring films, I believe this one is a bit weaker than the first one. And honestly, overall, I would, there's like 6 or 7 films when you count the Annabelles and the Nun, and there's like another one that's like a pre-history one.
There was a La Lenora, was that part of it?
Yeah.
That one is on HBO Max. I haven't finished it. I watched like 10 minutes of it, turned it off.
But if so far, in my opinion, mine is that one, because I have not got to watch it. If you just look at the main series and the additional spin-off, I would put this one as more on the bottom spectrum of ranking. Like, part 1 would be 1.
I would drop 1 down to like, I don't know, basement crawl slay, or how do you get underneath the house, like even below the foundation, like bury that in the ground. But it's the thing, like, we're gonna get to my issue with the ratings at the end of this, because I do have an issue with what I said in the first one. It's gonna screw me over. But the cons really are with the story. Like, you have got these 2 Lorraines who are big into, like, I don't want to call them paranormal investigators, but I guess you can call them paranormal investigators. And you make a big deal, like, of how many cases these people have done. Like, you even open with Amity. So these guys know what they're doing. But yet, never at any time before the end of this movie does she look through her Bible. She etched Valak's name into her Bible, something she cares so much about that she brought with her on this trip. But it never, at any point until the end, decided to open that thing and look. Because if she'd done that at any other point, my phone just went off. Sorry. If at any point she opens that Bible, she gets the demon's name. Because it's in her Bible. Like, you can say she was mentally distressed and everything, but...
Or focus on...
Like, but it's her Bible. Like, that's the thing that brings her comfort. That's why she brought it. And she never once opened it up to see what she did to it. And if she'd had, she would have noticed that, because they've done this so many times. Like, that part of your brain would... That really, like, irked me. Like, she never opened her Bible until this moment.
Breaking it down.
I really do break down this story, because that's where my issues are, is with the story.
And what about Ed's perspective?
Oh, Ed lowered himself down so much. That Elvis Presley singing. No. No! Like, that's just a me thing. Don't start singing in a movie. That I will leave.
It's true. Justin has walked out of singing films.
No, like, it's a difference. If it's a musical, you're going and expecting that.
Right.
I don't want my horror movie to be interrupted by someone singing. And I know it's supposed to be like this wholesome moment because his family loved Elvis. But you have his records. You bought them the records. Like, their memories are not tied around you singing. They're tied around the records. But I get it. Like, Elvis is expensive. You want every dollar of that to count, so they made it count.
And yeah, and that's...
I wish I didn't.
Now, what did you think about Madison Wolf's performance?
Oh, she's the best. Oh, Madison Wolf is Janet. She was the best part of this movie. And that's why I think this is better than the first one, because her performance alone is Janet. Just so good. Just
see, I thought
even like at the end when she's possessed, like she looked like she was gonna kill everyone, and that was.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I'm talking about like this film not being as good as the first one, I'm not knocking certain things. I did think, okay, when you're you know, in this film, the child was more of the focus.
No, they just like all the kids really did a great job. I just think Madison Wolf stood out.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's one aspect I thought was better because in this film the kids did play a more important role, obviously with you know, Janet being possessed compared to the first films where
the mother was possessed.
Like,
that was nothing compared to Madison.
Yeah, they got better in that area. I just
there was one more thing I need to bring up about this name thing. Was Valak. I know it's the lore. I know it's in demon lore that if you learn their name, you can gain power over the demon, and that doesn't mean you have to use it. Alright, because in like vampire lore, if you dig into vampire lore, you can find out like you can distract a vampire with knots. They have to stop and untangle knots. That doesn't mean you should use it.
right.
This could have been a better ending if they'd done something else. Just getting the name and like, oh, you're this big powerful demon, you're done. She knows your name. She remembered her Bible. Like that was kind of anticlimactic.
And now, so the graphics, obviously, they used a little bit more graphics in this one compared to the first film.
You know, I don't mind CG. But a lot of what I've seen in this movie was practical. But you can't have glass blowing up in a kid's face.
And just like, oh, that's okay. So, overall, let's start breaking them down in categories. What did you think of the story?
Bad.
Bad.
The Conjuring, was describing me like it broke the formula. It was hands on the best of the best kind. But having this story where they can't be believed and you don't know if they're telling the truth, that's cliche. Like, this is Demon Movie 101. And then you had the video of the Janet throwing around, making the mess herself. It's like, okay, but this is dumb. Like, why would they leave in the middle of the night? When they're so unsure still. Why would they up and leave in the middle of the night? They could have just stayed one more day.
All it takes is one more
And that's
day.
what happened. Like, if you stayed one more day, then you could have actually played the records and found out instead of playing it on the train and having to rush back. And that was kind of upset. That kind of broke the flow for me. Because like I said, Conjuring, the way it had been built up to me, this huge universe that's supposed to be the bar, and it's sunk low because of that.
And as for performances, how the actors did.
Great. Performances were great.
Okay.
Like I said, Madison Wolf, I can't speak highly enough. All of the kids, Lauren Esposito, as the older sister, and Frances O'Connor as the mother, they were great. Bonnie Aronzo as the nun version of Alec was phenomenal.
And what about our returning stars, Vera and Patrick?
They were good. Except Patrick lowered himself because of that Elvis
singing.
scene.
But, I mean...
But yeah, I'm counting that. This is my opinion. Yeah. You can disagree with me all you want, but I'm not giving you that.
The graphics.
Right? It was mostly practical. A little CGI I'm fine with.
Okay. Overall, you know, what...
You're going to ask me for the grade now, aren't you?
I am.
This is where you screwed me over now. Because I now graded... I originally said it was a B plus for the first one.
Okay.
But then you pressured me for a percentage. And I gave it an 87. That's too goddamn high now. Because now I have to give this one a 90, an A. Because it's better than the fucking first one.
You seem so mad about
I
that.
am so mad about it because I don't think this movie is an A. But because
well, you could give it 89.
No, it's not better by a couple points.
You think it's
So
better, like more of like?
Yeah, if I'd have given, if I had stuck to my mind and gave the first one a B minus, I would have given this one an 87. But because I gave the first one an 87, I have to give this one a 90.
Do not let me pressure
your
you on
fault.
the percentage, okay? It helps the audience understand where you're at in
Well,
that.
no, an audience can imagine a B.
Well, there could be an 80% B or an 89%
You're the
B.
only one who has trouble with that. A B is a B, but no, I had to give an exact percentage.
What did I give the first film?
Who knows? Yeah, I think you gave it a 90.
Okay. I'm going to, like I said, I thought this was a step down. Certain parts of it was better than the first film. Yes, the certain performances, the storyline hurt a little bit. The jump scares weren't, in my eyes...
Are you going to tell me that, come on, her going into the painting?
No,
Like
that one was a
better.
good...
That one alone was better than the first
That
one.
that one was good, yes. But it felt like there was... The jump scares were more... The scariness was in the story. Like, you've seen everything to play out rather than a... like, oh.
In the first movie, they got demon and ghosts confused.
We will break down inconsistencies all day long. But...
Oh, that's not an inconsistency, that's a plot hole.
That is a plot hole. My overall... I'm going to stick with the B grade and probably go like 84, 85. I thought it did some good things that, you know, certain scenes stood out.
You're more harsh on this movie than I was on the first one. I didn't really like the first one.
I liked the first one so much. I thought it was definitely a standout film in the horror genre, definitely in that time frame.
I'm never giving a percentage again. Last time.
Until next episode. But still, honestly, good movie. I'm not going to sit here and say don't watch it, don't enjoy it.
Yeah, watch it. Like I suggested watching the first one. Watch it. I might not watch it again. But it is, again, it's better than the other demon movies. It's better than your Exorcists. I think its only rival really is Poltergeist.
The original.
The Omen. Well, of course, the original Poltergeist. Have you seen that remake? I can't defend that remake, and I do defend remakes.
Not all remakes were bad, but that's a different story.
That one is a bad one. It's a bad case.
But until next week,